Wednesday, the 19th of August at 8:04 a.m. So we're going to go through London and what potentially might be happening today, in regards to everything that is happening. So we've got a very, very interesting morning. Now, I think it's good to point this out at the beginning. So normally I would be, placing my kind of entries. I'll be placing my entries around 7 to 7:30, waiting, for obviously them to trigger and then capitalizing. We did quite well. Yeah, yesterday we only had GBP trigger. I chose obviously not to add in, which was a good idea. I did pretty well on gold, and obviously GBP was good trade. So I was happy. 100%. I think we had yesterday, which is obviously helping. I won't log in now. Do you reckon I can log in now? Yeah, there we go. So had June, September. We're in August. There we go. So, 100% yesterday. That's helping my win rate. Like I'd said, it's been dropping. I think I had this up to about 75%, and it's at, 70. So, and that's all because of the last, few weeks. Although we've been profitable. My win rate has dropped because it's been one of those where we've been, swallowing some, losses. So, what do you do when that happens? You reduce trading, and I'm obviously no different to anybody else. If I don't, you've really got to keep an eye on your win percentage and your profit factor. I think mine was at 4 at one stage, and this was about 75%. So I'm pretty happy. Um, but that's obviously one thing that even I've identified that, I'm obviously going to be working a bit harder on, so because, yeah, pretty happy on week one. Yes, we've had, on paper, looks brilliant here, even if we put this at percentage, let's have a look what it looks like. Percentage, we've, had why does it keep going back to July? There we go, August. All right. We've had a, really good kind of week. However, you've always got to be thinking about how you can tweak things, because risk. I'd say my risk is normally low to kind of medium. Well, obviously this month because we kind of have helped it, it's gone from a medium to high. So yesterday we kind of wound it back a bit. Now, let's have a bit of an overview here of what is actually happening. All right, so we have got the dollar trading below 99,500. We got yields absolute, I guess as expected. We've kind of reached this high end of July. Didn't mean to rhyme that, but yeah, reach this high at the end of July, rejected off of this. Is this going to be a continuation? That's what we need to find out. And obviously, yields dropping as much as they have. That's what's been dropping yen. I did put a Euro JPY trade out yesterday. I laid this out on YouTube pre-entered. So you guys could have obviously capitalized on this, but obviously, yeah, that one's running very, very, nicely. I think we're already, what are we already kind of 15, 20 pips in profit. What other ones have I laid out this week? GBP AUD was this one here. Didn't quite hit TPP, but I think everyone would have been very happy. That was about 56 pips altogether. Probably what would I have done here? I would have 100% pulled stops to break even. And that would have been my worst case scenario here. So happy with that one. I think what else? GBP, JPY as well. That's been slow. Look, really, really slow. It would have tapped this entry here. And then, yeah, not a lot happened yesterday at all. So interesting because we've got quite a strong pound there this morning, but obviously not stronger than yen. For those of you who don't know, yields are heavily linked with yen. If yields are dropping, that's going to strengthen yen. So for all our yen traders out there, you need to be understanding 10-year yields, and if they're rising, don't obviously buy yen, but buy the alternative currency. But obviously, if they're dropping, then yen is going to drop with it. That hits a bit different this morning. Right. So let's obviously have a look at some of the data that we've had this morning. So we've had obviously pound inflation data coming in as expected. Yes, we had PPI. Um, Obviously, it was minus 1.9. It's now minus 1.7. So not it's kind of mixed data, but as expected. All right, and obviously whenever data comes out as expected, remember this is what gets priced in. All right, the forecast is what is always priced in, and then if we have a miss either way, if it's hotter, cooler, then obviously we're gonna see markets impact off the back of it. If it comes out as expected, it means it's already been priced in. So we've obviously got euro. Euro's normally on point. I'm expecting, inflation is creeping up everywhere. So I'm expecting inflation to creep up ever so slightly as well. And then later on tonight, beautiful, we got a speech from Trump. Not that it really matters. We obviously know he's always pro the dollar. So I don't see that being any different, if I'm honest. He's going to be very, very pro the dollar, so he's going to instill some strength in it. It seems to be his tweeting. All right, his tweeting is causing havoc. And obviously yesterday is no different. I know that we've got Beverly in here. She won't mind. She's obviously she has. Um, She's obviously living over in Dubai. I've got a couple of other friends over in Dubai, and obviously all the alerts, started yesterday. Be careful, stay safe. So yeah, and we've got about a 65% escalation rate at the moment, so it's pretty high. But obviously and no negotiations are happening. We've got US wanting to go hard. We got Iran as well, kind of talking like that they're going to change from defensive to offensive. And so that's kind of how it's rounding up at the moment. Now, what I'm surprised about this morning, all right, is, dollar, I was expecting it to creep up to this 100, all right? Now, this just goes to show overall the expectation of the dollar at the moment is not very high. So, we've obviously got to be aware of it, but if I was trading it at 7:30 this morning, normally I'd be looking to sell. However, what I'm identifying here is this the bottom here? All right, we have tested it once, we've tested it twice, we've tested it three times, we've tested it four times, we've tested it again. I'm expecting it, if this breaks, it's gotta break hard, because every time you test, it's a bit like if you're hitting, something from the downside. Every time you hit it, it's gonna become weaker and weaker and weaker. But as you actually go through, it should blast it through. Well, obviously that's not happened. All right, that has not happened here. So my expectation actually is that we're going to do this. However, we're not just going to hop in. We're not just going to jump in. We're going to wait and see what happens. All right, we want to understand, or we want to see, you know, some kind of a move happening. Yeah, right. Before we kind of make that decision. So yes, I'm going to be trading US to dollar reversals mainly because of oil. Oil stayed up. I do think oil is going to creep up higher. Uh, Remember, this 90 is when everything will change again. Um, so that's one thing that we've got to watch out for. Really, we've got to be a bit careful of. Is obviously when oil, if oil carries on creeping higher, because we already know that for the time being, everyone's pretty comfortable here. However, it's when we get up to this 90, everyone becomes comfortably uncomfortable. And obviously that's not is not had the dip that obviously yields have. Maybe this is one of those where what goes up must come down before we breach back up, because this 4.75 is a pretty strong level to break, just like d dollar trading down here is going to be a short. It's going to take a lot for it to break the 99,500. So that's why I'm going to hold off. I don't normally trade this late on, but probably between Hopper State and 9 o'clock, that's when I'm going to be hopping on. So. If we're looking at everything here, right, we didn't actually trigger this trade yesterday, but obviously Aussie, because let's start off with gold, all right, commodities are, struggling. We actually played gold very, very well yesterday. So if we go through it on like a 15 minute, we actually started to enter probably on this dip here, yeah. All right, on this dip here, I actually took my profits here. I just had a feeling it was, struggling, and if I delete everything, and if we look at the, sessions yesterday, right, average Asia, London was so small that obviously we were due a big move, and I for me to see gold pushing higher, there needs to be that, strength. And I don't quite, see that at the, moment. So we've got some really, really interesting, levels at the moment. We've got, yields, struggling to break those highs. We got the dollar struggling to break those, lows. And then gold here, yeah, yeah, yes, it's not an all-time high, but it's really struggling to break that, between 420 to 4440. So, it'll be interesting to see what actually happens here. Who's gonna break? All right, let's obviously break down. I'm gonna get rid of this. So let's break down. Sorry, I'm going to have to refresh my page, otherwise it won't go away. Right, let's break down gold, what we might potentially be looking at this morning, and then we'll have a little roundup as to what is, what potentially might be happening. So you obviously, as always, previous daily high, mark it up. It reacted so well to it yesterday. Previous daily low. All right, then we're going to go on Asia. Asia's been trading small. Asia, Asia high, we're going to mark that in yellow. And Asia low is pretty much previous day, but a little bit low. So there's a pretty strong wall here. Yeah, pretty strong wall. It's going to take a lot to break through this today. I'm expecting gold to potentially drift a bit higher. But yeah, that's we'll wait and see. So remember, we always want to, try and find our kind of, area where we, want to break through. So, London currently trending a bit higher. We had quite a small Asia. All right, so I am expecting London to be a little bit more explosive. Now, my two areas that I'd want to enter in, one would be here, and one would be here. All right. So if I just do something like this, there we go. Make this a little bit smaller because it's a bit all over the place. So these will be my two entries. I really, really think this is going to help everyone. So, you want to imagine this as a bit of, no man's land here. All right. It's not telling us anything. All right. This area here doesn't tell us anything. All right, yes, if we break up higher, we should be challenging this previous daily high, potentially. Or, if this area holds, we might come back down and test this previous daily low here. But it all depends on how London reacts. I'm going to wait and see. But if I was marking alerts on, I'd want one. Oh, I'd want one here, right? I'd want one here, and I'd want one around here. Yeah. That is where I would want them happening. There's no point worrying about gold anywhere else. We've seen from Monday, from yesterday, one good, solid gold trade really, really helps. So there is no point trying to trade it 100 times a day. It's not going to help you. You're just increasing your risk, and obviously we want to try and minimize risk as much as we can. Looking across the other pairs, this was obviously our trade from yesterday. I think we ended up closing out pretty high. I was pretty happy. I think our TP1 was about here, smashed, straight through it. Look, even if we'd have held it, it's still only just got to where it is. Euro, we can obviously clean all of these off, now. Where's USD CAD? Messy, isn't it? So this was obviously one I laid out, I think Sunday. Was obviously giving examples. And I think this is, if I was to delete these just to make it a bit easier, this is what I'm speaking about on gold here. Look what happened once we broke up, and I'll delete these here. I'm trying to, teach everyone here how to break down charts and how to just be a little bit patient here, So, you can see here all this resistance here. We busted up, obviously come back down and retested a couple of entries depending on how aggressive, you want to be. You would have had to have stops about here below this one here. And then you would have wanted a nice 1 to 2. So, it wouldn't have hit obviously TP, but potentially, or if you wanted to risk it, you might have wanted to come down a little bit further. But I think that would have been a bit touch and go. But it just kind of explains what has ended up happening. We've come crashing down. Look at this on a let's go on a 30 minutes. So two candles here. If we go on an hour, I bet that's one. One candle has come crushing down in, and then this level here has held. All right, it's held strong. So there's always an importance to kind of, levels, and it's making sure that you're marking them all up in the correct places. USD JPY, we stayed away from yesterday, but obviously having a bit of a chill out here. Will it climb back up? Yes, it will. Will it hit 160? Probably. If obviously dollar breaks back above 99,500, and if 99,500, and if yields, start to climb, then expect USD JPY to tap into this one, 60 here. So that's about it from me. Let me have a look at the questions in here. So Matt, morning. What's the latest with the macro tool being rolled out? Yep. If you message the team, they'll obviously tell you how to get access. Obviously, it was hacked. So I am, apologies if you're not eligible, but obviously, I have to be a bit strict because it cost me a lot of money when they hacked it. Alex, I like the Euro and GBP data, always on point. Why has US data been so bad? Analysts for the forecast, do they do it on purpose? I just think it's been hard, Yeah, imagine like trying to analyze non-farm payroll where you got jobs missing by so much, but the unemployment rate reduced. It's tricky, So I don't think it's as plain and simple. Maybe I'll do video on it because it'd be interesting for me to obviously do a bit of research on it too. So I'll try and do a video on that. What should drive the dollar to 100? Escalation and oil, or data outcome as well? Well, I mean, not a lot can really change the dollar this week, kind of data wise. We've obviously got some jobless claims, supposed to increase again. Um, so it's the labor market which is killing it, but there's not a lot that will change it. We've got PMI here. So we got S&P PMI. If that comes out hotter, yes, it's but basically with the US dollar at the moment, it's all their interest rate expectation, all right, and obviously it's a very very tricky one because they've got they've actually right now got inflation cooling, all right, but the jobs market is bad, all right, so they need one of them to kind of give, and if the jobs market is not going to give, then it's got to be inflation needs to rise, slightly for them to obviously increase interest rates. But obviously, this war, if it hadn't have happened, yes, their interest rates would have been reduced. And obviously, yeah, because they want to encourage, spending. But the interesting thing is, why do they want to encourage, spending to help US companies out? Because they want to encourage borrowing. Borrowing means expansion. All right, so but obviously it hasn't really. If we look back to like when this war started, which was in March, it's not. It's actually, you know, e everything's handling it well. We've got like the US 30 again, all time highs. There's been no crash, nothing. So it's been there is a strange, time here because they don't need to, you know, um, they don't really need to increase interest rates too much, but obviously they've got to watch out, but obviously remember if anyone reduces interest rates, it's going to take money out, it's going to take investments out, the bigger investments out of that currency, because if you've got a couple of billion, and you're getting point two point 0.25% less on your, money, you're gonna take it out and you're gonna put it into somewhere else. But obviously, everyone likes the dollar because it is pretty stable, So yeah. Um, right, Noel, FOMC July minutes and Kevin Walsh speaking later. Are we expecting any impact on the market from that? I think it's Trump, isn't it? Speaking later. Let's have a look. Wednesday. Yeah. So FOMC meeting minutes are, minutes that have already happened. So it doesn't really change anything. It will be Trump. There's a reason why he is speaking afterwards. So it'll be interesting. He normally plants himself in a strategic way. So it'd be interesting to see what he's got to, say. So yeah, that'll be quite interesting. But yes, it's going to have a bit of an impact. Do I recommend trading at that time? No. Do I recommend waiting, until London opens tomorrow and then we can trade off the back of it? Yes, so that's what I recommend. Does anyone have any more questions? Any more for any more? Happy to obviously hold on. I'm actually really enjoying my coffee this morning. We've gone proper old school. We bought a coffee percolator, and you can set the time on it. So, you obviously put the water in, put the coffee in, and then, say like 7, I'll come downstairs. It's all, ready, ready to rock and roll. So, yeah, and it actually for all of you just about to, just about to to say that, oh yeah, but they're really expensive. I reckon I bought my percolator for about 20 quid from Curry's. So yeah, but no, it's yeah, nice. So yeah, it is just a bog standard one, but it's got a timer on it, so it's brilliant. Yeah, yeah, but it'd be perfect for the office, Alex, because yeah, you can get someone to fill it up for you before they leave to go home. Set the timer, and then you'll come in the morning, and there's a nice, yeah, nice hot, fresh pot of coffee. So yeah, perfect. Right, I'm thirsty now. No problem at all. Right, well, I hope that everyone has a great Wednesday. And obviously, I will get these trades out probably in the next half an hour. So yeah, I hope everyone's good. Have a good one. And yeah, make sure you comment to let me know what pairs that you want me to break down today, because I'm going to try and break down about 3. So yeah, right. Have a good one, team. Have a good one.